Hello, Mason Storm here. Today I'm going to be making some beans. There's 3 general types of ways to make beans. There's baking them in the oven, there's cooking them in the crock pot, and then there's the pressure cooker. I'll make a video on all 3, but today we're going to be baking them in the oven. So let's get started. So today is now yesterday, and it's important that if you're going to bake them in the oven that you soak them the night before. So we just take our beans, we add water to them, and let them soak overnight. I have 1 pound of navy beans here. You can do the same procedure with any type of bean. They're all pretty much the same. For our ingredients, we have 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of mustard powder, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 medium onion, 3/4 cups of ketchup, 1/4 cup of molasses, a pound of beef, a can of crushed tomatoes, and our package of beans, 1 pound of navy beans, all soaked and ready to go. Okay, time to start the only process that is somewhat intensive in making this, and that's cutting the onion. So we'll cut it in half, and then I'll cut the tip off the top, and then using the root to hold it together, I cut a couple of cross slices and then proceed to give it a fine dice. Doesn't take very long to cut 1 onion, and that's what I like about this type of recipe, is that there's not a whole lot of work involved in making it. Yes, there's a lot of preparation in that you gotta soak your beans beforehand, and it does take quite a while to cook, but the actual intensive part of working at it is quite short. This is the pot that I'm going to be making my beans in, and I took my beans that were soaking in water and I just drained off the water, and I'm going to dump them into this pot, and then I'm going to follow that up with adding the onions to the pot with the beans. Now it's time to open up the can of my crushed tomatoes, and when I opened up I realized that I grabbed the wrong can of tomatoes. This is some type of Italian blend of, well, I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I know they're tomatoes, and that's half the battle. So I'm just going to run them through the hand blender here to make them into a more crushed style. Because you don't want to have giant chunks of, well, you might want to have giant chunks of tomato. I mean, it's up to you. A lot of different ways you can make your beans, but I wanted more of like a crushed tomato, kind of a smooth paste of tomatoey goodness. So the hand blender does a quick job of that. And after the tomatoes are all blended up, it's time to add in the different spices. So the pepper, the mustard, the Worcestershire sauce, the salt, and then we're going to start adding some of our more physical things, like our ketchup and our molasses. And that's kind of the essentials of all the ingredients added, except for our beef, which we're going to add in a little bit after giving it a little bit of a mix. We want to make sure this is nice and combined. And with the liquid quantity in the tomatoes, it comes apart okay. And I'm just going to feather the beef into the pot. Doing this allows for greater level of separation. The other way to do this would be to brown the beef beforehand and kind of have it all separated then, but I was not feeling that ambitious today, and this seemed like a good idea. And it's quick and easy enough. Afterwards, we'll give it our final mix, and then we'll cover it with the lid, and we'll stick it in the oven at 325 degrees. Now we're going to let this bake for a few hours, and then we're going to open it up and give it a stir and take a look at where it is. So I'm just going to pop the lid off of it now, and what we're going to see here is that, you know, it's pretty runny. It's a lot of moisture in it. So when I put it back in the oven, I'm actually going to leave the lid off of it, and that will allow some of the water to kind of evaporate out and kind of create more of a thickening mixture of beans. And then a couple more hours later, you take it out, take a spoon, try some of the beans, see if they're cooked enough, and if they're cooked enough, it's done. So it probably took about 5 hours to cook the whole thing. Results will vary depending on the oven. Before you know it, you'll have some nice cooked beans. So let me know in the comments how you make your baked beans, if you do it in the oven or if you're a crock pot or pressure cooker type of person. And if you like my content, please like and subscribe and hit the bell. And until next time, stay awesome.